Hello, today is Tuesday, December 26th, day after Christmas, and Christmas Eve we had a semi-family get together, and yesterday I stayed home all by myself, no visitors, and I enjoyed it. I initially was feeling a little down about it. It's Christmas, but Christmas has not been a real big holiday for me. Growing up, it was like there was so much expectations put onto that one day, and it never ended well. And my parents complained about money all year long, but it got worse during the holidays when, more money was spent on Thanksgiving food and then gifts and decorations, and I learned to not like the holidays. And my birthday is in early January. So from Thanksgiving to my birthday, it was a very stressful time for me growing up. And I carried that into my adulthood. And my husband really had to let me know that unless I wanted that for my kids, that I had to change my attitude. And I did. I did, to the point where we had 2 full Christmas trees at one time. One that the kids decorated, one I decorated. I had wreaths on every front window, and we had a lot of windows back then. I went overboard, yeah, and I did it like the day after Christmas. I would go shopping and get decorations for the following year, because that's how I roll. I'm a tightwad. What you're looking at now is where my husband likes to hunt. This is the easement to the property that's down this lane. The easement used to kind of cut off a good third of the 21 acres we have here. And the previous owner moved this, and no one was complaining. The people still had access because they were hunting over there. And right after we bought this property, they clear cut that property over there. And so it's wild. We need to go in there with some heavy equipment and just take down all the little trees, and it's crazy. You can't even walk. Earlier this year you could walk, it's kind of like this. Now it's so hung over you have to crawl through. Or get a limb lopper and cut through. But anyway, he likes hunting. The white thing down there is a salt block, and he's had some corn down there, and he's got a water bucket. And I had just taken the kitchen scraps to the chickens, and I thought I'd make a quick video. I had just gotten, there's no other way to put it. After closing the shop, I just fell into a big depression. I'm one of those that isn't the typical depressed person. I was once diagnosed as functionally depressed, which is it's an oxymoron. The depression is there, but I keep pushing myself. I don't stay in bed. I don't. If I'm binge watching, I'm also creating other stuff. I'm crocheting or tearing down aluminum cans or something. But anyway, so I'm by myself. My husband had to take care of a family member that's out of state, and I was supposed to go with him initially. And I said, I just can't go there and stay there for a week to 10 days or so. I said, I'll make myself crazy unless I haul a bunch of my crafts and start working on those while I'm there. And I know that it wouldn't keep me busy the whole time. And I offered, I'll take him up there, then I'll come back and then go back and pick him up. And then other things happened. He didn't want me to do all that driving, so I stayed home. Look at the leaves. Still a light drizzle going on. Earlier this year, they clear cut, last year, they clear cut, this person owns about 120 acres or so. I think they own some more in separate plots, so I think it's over 120 acres. But they had a big bunch of it cut on the other side. a few months ago you couldn't see through these trees here. And then that was last year, they had a bunch clear cut. And then this year they came back and clear cut more pines. I'm surprised they left those pines. I don't know what, I guess the deer hunting stand, the owner of this bequeathed it to her daughter, and her daughter is the one who had it clear cut for her small town. Word gets around. It was for her wedding that she needed the money for, and now her husband, the newlywed groom, is out here hunting. So we've seen him a few times and talked to him. Nice, but when the guys came here to cut this part, they talked to my husband, and I said, well, let's get some of our, because we don't have that much that would be worth bringing out all this equipment for. But I just wanted the area cut down there, which is kind of a high point. This is higher. If you can see our house, when you drive up, you just see our roof. And it just steadily goes down. There's a gully. I got to make sure my hand stays in there because I'm making gestures that's not on camera. And there's a gully that went down there, and during the floods in 2015, we had a nice little creek and a pond down there where the previous owner was making a pond, but the dam that he built washed out, so it didn't stay, and it was just swampy. But you can see where it just goes down. But that's kind of a high point on our property that I've got some dreams for, and I can't help myself. I always have something, and then I get fixated. I get obsessed until I get it or something else supersedes it. But I want to build a multi-shipping container home over there. We're not talking tiny house. It's a multi-generational design. 2 2-bedroom apartments, 2 master bedrooms, 8 bedrooms. Let's see, 6 full baths, 1 half bath, with the possibility of making 3 more full baths later if we wanted, if we needed that. But it's made to have you grow old and not have to move out. So you can see one of the cameras that my husband has set so we can see stuff. We've walked down here and seen deer at the very top looking back at us, and we just all stood there and waited to see who would move first. They did. But I love this property. I don't want to move off the property, but the house, without doing some major knocking down walls, and the whole flow of that place is just crazy. It's a nicer home than I've lived in, but every home I've lived in, the design was wrong. We never use the front door for a front door. We use it for loading and unloading large furniture. The front door is supposed to go into the living room, but it's like, no, I made that a dining room because it has 2 dining rooms, this house does, a breakfast nook type area and a dining room. Both really sucked. The size is wrong, and anyway, and you can see the 2 shipping containers. We bought that thinking we're going to make them into our home, but time-wise, my husband was still working full-time, and by the time we got out here and set up, we maybe got an hour or 2 done before we needed to pack up. Even those weekends that we stayed out here, there was a camper that we used, and he has all his resale stuff and some of our stored stuff in there. I can't get to it. I don't, the way he does, we think differently. So sharing a space that we're just storing things in is not working, even though it's like, okay, this area is supposed to be just for my stuff. I lost some of my vendor's things that didn't show up before I closed the shop. And my husband said, no, it's not in there, because, you know, so there was a box in the car. He took the car, he was unloading stuff. He worked, I'm not complaining about that, but if I ask where did such and such goes, I just get a blank look because he has no idea. It was a box. It was just a box. He didn't know what was in those boxes. And even though I said this box stays in the car, so I know where it's at because I need to get this back to one of my vendors, I looked and looked for months. And he said, it's not in this corner, in this area, because that's all from such and such. I was like, okay. So I looked and I looked and I looked, and I was like, I need to either pay her for all of it, or, you know, if I can't find it, and I was like, I'm going to look where he says it's where it's not. And yeah, that's where it was. So it's just the way our brains work. And it's definitely not that my brain works better than his, or his is, you know, his system is better than my system, or it just is what it is. And it's not compatible. It shouldn't cause marital strife for us to do this. So I asked that for my birthday that I get my own 40-foot shipping container, and I want it over there where eventually it's going to be incorporated into the 28 shipping containers for the home that I've got in my mind. And this future home will be a not just generational, but when there's a tornado or hurricane coming through here, or there is no safe place for us. You know, we can say, okay, the center of the house, we can make it a shelter and then have to go down in there and sleep. We've done that kind of stuff in the past. I just want to stay and live my life normally, and even have others come to our house for shelter. That's my goal. We'll incorporate, it's going to be a hybrid, shipping container or ship. A solar panel. It won't be off-grid because the panels won't have a space until it's completely done, and we need power. So we're probably either going to get the power company to extend it, or my husband can run it, or we're going to be using generators. Probably a combination of generators and running some power to it. But anyway, I have to garden. You can hear the clackers. I love that sound. So I'm making those for sale, but I haven't been going to any shows or anything. A friend of mine took some to sell for me, but she had no sales at that event. But we still have the compost from earlier this year. And I just hadn't, it's weird. And I know that I feel better when I come out here and do physical stuff with the gardening and getting my hands dirty and messing around with the chickens. Raccoons got in and killed the 3 roosters that we had in that one, so that coop has to be redone, and I just don't even want to go in the garage and do the woodworking that I enjoy doing. We have a bunch of pine trees growing back, so all the trees that I planted on the next level down in front of the house, a bunch of serviceberries and hazelnut trees. I don't know what survived, but you see the pine trees that's right there, they need to be all cut down. Greenhouse finally got moved to where I would use it. I've got a bunch of stuff in there for plants that were stored in the house, and now it's out here. But I've just been surviving. It's been, and I got to clear all that and bring all those pots and planters up here. But you see how all these little pine trees are coming up? I hate pine trees. I really do. I shouldn't, but I do. But I entered this in the fair in the wrong category. I did it in metal art when it should have been recycle art. So next year I'll enter, not this one, but another one. And I love that sound. And it catches the light. When it's sunny, it sparkles. And I put gems on this one. But I just wanted to get some stuff out there and get a video, and this is almost like a diary. And anyone that wants to join me in the trip and my journey, tag along. I've been binge watching YouTube channels from cleaning to organizing. I've also gone, I made spiral journals for friends. I made 5 of them. The first one was a prototype that I really messed up a lot on. That's the one I'm keeping for myself. But I made 4 others for gifts for some close friends. Normally I make literally 30 to 40 gifts every year. Last year I think I did closer to 60. I made a bunch of, I had a whole bunch of Frappuccino Starbucks bottles from years ago. I used to buy them by the case. And the chickens are out. And I had a whole bunch saved. I donated a bunch for a project that they did at the library, because they look like the smaller milk jugs that the people used to get milk delivered in. So I still had a whole bunch, and I decided, I filled them up with my cream of soup mix, powdered soup mix. It was gluten-free, not dairy-free. It had powdered milk, cornstarch, seasonings, and I made those and put pretty gift wrap papers over the top, and a tag, Merry Christmas, along with what was in there and how to use it. And you have to use boiling water. People didn't understand that. That water has to be hot. You can't just put hot water to it. It has to be boiling. And let it boil for that starch to thicken. But I've not bought cream of any type of soup in decades since I found that recipe. And because when I had to go gluten-free, I couldn't use it. They have wheat in them. So that was what I went to. So last year, I made a whole bunch, and then left a whole bunch with my mother-in-law in North Carolina to give to the rest of the family that we weren't going to see while we were up there. And this year I just did four gifts. I made for my grandsons and my son, I made them a bunch of beef jerky. Made my homemade beef jerky. They got 3 pints each, pint baggies of beef jerky and a pint of lamb jerky. So they got, again, does that count? Anyway, they got plenty. And I need to make some freeze-dried stuff for the grandsons. They asked for some freeze-dried apples and pineapples. So I said, okay, I'll do that after Christmas. And what else? And I gave potted onions, green onions. Koreans use the green, American onions are like tiny compared to the green onions Koreans use. If you watch any Korean videos and they're using green onions, they're huge. They're like the size of your finger or thumb, in thickness, not the little tiny little things where they're like, they're big. So anyway, I potted some for my son and daughter, and said, just leave them out. They can handle the cold. They don't need to be brought in. Just make sure if it's, it gets too dry, hadn't rained in a while, to water them. But they will grow, and just start harvesting the outer leaves. If you want to make scrambled eggs with some green onions, or just top it with some green onion, just go out there, scissors, snip it, and then you got it for use, and it will last years. So that was part of it. There's some other gifts that are not worth mentioning, but it's hard. And I finished the year through the Bible with the group, and the group ended up with just me and one other person, and another person kind of dropping in when she could. But next year we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to do the year the Bible in a year again. I'm going to do it chronologically, and I'm not sure how she's going to do it, if she's going to do it the same way that she did this past year. But since then, she's gotten several different Bible translations and different commentaries and different things that will help her learning, because she's never read the Bible, and in fact she was discouraged, which makes me angry. A lot of churches don't encourage reading the Bible for yourself. If you can't read it for yourself, what's the point? I just don't. Anyway, but we're going to do a deep dive in Revelation, so we're going to each week meet and just go through a few verses or sections, or however you want to say it, not chapters. We're not going to go through a chapter a week. We're just going to go through whatever section and go deep into it, because every verse in Revelation will point you to another verse already in the Bible. It's the only book that says, read me and be blessed. And so we're going to be blessed next year. And this time it's open to the men. This year it was all women's only. We're meeting in a women's ministry place. And now I'm trying to find another location. Hopefully we'll figure out. Well, it'll work out. And there's the angel I made when I was at the shop. And the swans. And I'm just, snowman's buried under leaves. The round snowman's around here somewhere, I think, down there. But we're all struggling one way or another, financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And we need to have mercy and grace to others and ourselves. I rarely am able to accomplish all the things I want to do in a day, even if I don't get slack, even if I don't take breaks. If I just go hard at something, it's just and I have every intention of doing it, and at the end of the day it's like, no, I didn't accomplish it. So I'm also working on making a planner for someone with my type of mentality. I see all these beautiful planners that someone else has already made, and none of them would work for me. And I'm figuring out why. And I don't think I'm the only one that has that problem. So that's another project on my list. I finally started writing my book. It's been on my heart for, 20 years. And it's like I read it in my mind, but it's like, no, that's not right. That's not right. That's not right. And finally it came together. Certain things just kind of clicked in place, and it's just flowing. I've written pages just this week. And it's exciting. Characters are just coming alive. And looking at I hadn't seen them come out. I've opened the gate for them last week several times, and I don't think they came out. And today they came out. We lost one of the hens to a hawk. So my husband then kept them locked up for a while. And then days like this, the hawks aren't as active. I love that. Oh, and that boat? My husband's father made that when my husband was a toddler. It was one of those, not a kit. It was a pattern that was in a magazine or something, and then he made it. It's a little sailboat that we hope to take on the lake, but we didn't get a chance yet, so it's been just sitting up there. We need to get a cover. There's so many things. Everywhere I look, this needs to be done, that needs to be done. But what has to be done gets done. And we're healthier and we're happier. And I pray that on your journey that you realize that you have more blessings than complaints. It's starting to rain a little bit. And I pray that next year you walk in that you don't forget how blessed you really are, no matter how bad some things may seem to be, that you will count your blessings more than your curses and not complain as much. See all these trees that need to come down. That's a young man's job. They like to tear down things, don't they? So all this has to get moved. I'm just going to keep 2 planters down here. Maybe have a tomato plants in them. Oh, my tea olive. I thought it was dead, but it's blooming. So everywhere's a mess, and this is what I walk into, and I hate it. And this is nobody's fault but mine. I cannot blame my husband or anyone else. This is what I put here with intentions of decorating and making pretty, and just never getting to it. I will get to it. I hope you had a Merry Christmas, and again, have a blessed New Year. Be a blessing and be blessed.